we're looking at are basically three major impacts that are taking place that could affect rates. The first one, of course, is Red Sea. The second one we see is the Panama Canal. And the third one, which is maybe a little farther down the line, is the kind of saber rattling that's going on now between the International Longshoremen's Association and their employer, the USMX. And the union question is not quite as important at the moment because the ILA contract is not due to come to an end until sometime, say, in September, end of September. So we can push that one back a little bit. But of these other two at the moment, which is going to be the longer lasting of the two problems between Suez and the Panama Canal?
If I only knew. But you hit on the real aspect here, right? There are so many things going on that you need to deal with all of them at the same time. So it's all about compromise, right? But I think the disruption that shippers felt when the labor negotiations were taking place on the U.S. West Coast last year, that was already pretty cumbersome, right? And we expect cumbersome business also on the East Coast this year as the fast track procedure failed to be fruitful last year. So obviously it's one of those aspects where you can imagine everything happening, right? From red taping equipment to business as usual. But I think I would be cautiously against expecting business as usual because something is in the making. We will not see a swift solution or new agreement signed. I'm not being a doomsayer here, but it's at least not the one scenario that I attach the highest likelihood. So that's one aspect. Going into Panama Canal, container shipping is the least affected of the main shipping sectors going via Panama Canal. Having said that, it is still operational at little more than 50%. Those container ships that do go through transit with less capacity than they would otherwise do. But carriers are left between a rock and a hard place. We see some carriers in December taking their services that used to go from Far East into US East Coast and Gulf Coast via the Panama Canal. They rerouted those to go via Suez Canal. Well, here we are, early February, right? Some of those are now back into the Panama Canal, and some are continuing around the Cape of Good Hope. So you're really, I mean, from a deployment perspective, the longer the cargo is carried, the better for the carriers, literally, because it sucks up capacity, and in an environment with a fundamental overcapacity, that's working in favor of the carriers. But from a capacity perspective in Panama, we expect a sub-normal level of activity for the entirety of 2024. It seems as if we're not getting to a normal, getting normal times back until perhaps, a year from now. Fingers crossed, we get the water that we normally do in the second half of 2024. But right now we have 24 daily transits through the Panama Canal. 7 or 8 of those are container ships with a normal level of 36, right? So you're really having a huge impact on global logistics in one of the key choke points, right? Container shipping, feeling the brunt of it, not the full brunt of it, but still, it is an obstacle.